begin the Planning Committee meeting of Akron City Council. Roll call, please.
Fusco.
Aye.
Kamer. Aye. Connor. I can see you, Councilwoman Connor, but I can't hear you. Can you hear us? We still can't hear you. You want to try to adjust your audio settings? Is there a microphone on your headphones? Maybe bring that down. Maybe that's why we can't hear.
There's an idea.
Thank you.
Now I can hear you and see you.
Thank
Are
you.
you good?
Thank you. We can hear you now.
Thank you. Sorry.
Thanks. Baylor?
Aye.
And Mosley. We have all committee members present except for Councilwoman Mosley.
Thank you, Clerk. Is there a motion to accept the minutes of the previously held meeting?
So move. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Against? Okay, good. The ayes have it. We have one item that's up for a public hearing today, and the procedures will basically be that we'll read in the item. The Planning Department will then provide a report on the item. We will then ask a representative from our law department to swear in any individuals that wish to testify before the committee. After that, we will then open up the public hearing and ask for comment, and then we'll close the public hearing, open it up to any committee members that may have questions or comments. After that, we'll then open up to all of council for questions and comments, and then after that, we'll then repeat that process this evening at 7 o'clock. And the only difference is going to be is that we will then make a recommendation to council, either in favor, against, or to take time on an item. So those are the procedures. And I try to figure out ways over the years to make it less boring, but those are the procedures. So with that, the first item that's up for public hearing is a resolution approving the renewal application of Stephen and Janice Brown to have agricultural property on Diagonal Road to be included in an agricultural district pursuant to revised code 929.01. Mr. Antonucci?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. Stephen and Janice Brown are requesting renewal for an additional period of 5 years for agricultural district designation for this property at 590 Diagonal Road. The Browns have 2.15 acres of land devoted for agricultural use. It's hydroponic farming. Agricultural designation will provide financial benefits in the form of property tax relief and encourages continued agricultural production of that property. Office of Integrated Development and Planning staff recommend approval. Thank you.
Thank you for that report, Mr. Antonucci. At this time, I ask a representative from our law department to please swear in any individuals that wish to speak before the committee today.
Mr. Chair, we don't have a representative, but I can swear in.
Sarah Biviano's swearing people today, right?
Yes.
You're doing that moving forward. I apologize. You seem like an attorney, but very good.
If you're planning to speak at the public hearing, could you please stand and raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth? If so, please answer, I do. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah Biviano. With that, we'll open up the public hearing and ask if there's anyone here wishing to speak in favor of the of approving the renewal application for the agricultural district on Diagonal Road. If you can please step forward and provide for us your name and address. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Stephen Brown, and I own Oak Tree Hydroponics. For the last several years, we have been most successful in generating hydroponic produce year-round. It is fresh, it is safe, it is clean. We use neither herbicides nor pesticides. We use about 90% less water than conventional farming, and even substantially less than almost anybody else. About twice a year, we empty and we do this, we have got 8,000 plants growing on about 800 gallons of water. That's it. Even the nutrients that we use are 100% dissolvable in the water. There's as zero footprint on the environment as you can get. About twice a year, we empty our reservoir. That goes into our personal garden. And I can absolutely guarantee everyone here, our hostas look like they're on steroids. So we would like to continue this again. The business is going exceptionally well. We have not been bothered that greatly by COVID. And as a matter of fact, there's 51 houses going next to us at the old farm facility. It's about approximately 7 acres adjacent to my property. And I've already talked to some of the people there, and as soon as they get some folks in and we're ready to go, we're going to be selling there as well. I've also contacted the people who will be managing, I should say, the LeBron James apartments down on, is that Cedar and Maple Streets, I believe, about 50 units. And we have hopefully an understanding to the effect that once a week, I'll be delivering there. So the business is good, and I'm asking for your continued support. Any questions, concerns, issues?
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll have an opportunity possibly for that. But thank you so much for coming down. I appreciate it. Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak in favor of this agricultural certificate approval? Anyone else in favor? Anyone against? Anyone against? Okay, not hearing any. We'll now close the public hearing and open up to questions from the committee and then to all of council. Just that, Mr. Brown, we appreciate what you do. And I recall, how many years ago was it? That's the one question I have, that we approved your conditional use.
I think it was around 2017.
Okay, yeah.
I think my response to the notice of this hearing, I believe I put in the reference number as to when council approved that.
Yes, yeah.
It was 2017. We actually started the business in, we had a wild and crazy idea for it, 2013, started selling 2015. We started with a little...
I'm so sorry to interrupt, but could you speak into the microphone so that those joining remotely can hear you? Thank you.
We started with a little 10 by 12 greenhouse and realized rather quickly that the demand was far in excess of the supply. It's 4,000 square feet now. As I said before, I've got approximately 8,000 plants growing in there. We turn it over, which is the name of the game, 6 or 7 times a year. So
Awesome. Well done, sir. Thank you so much for what you do. Certainly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Any questions from any committee members? I see Margot Somerville's hands up. Not seeing any committee members. I see Margot Somerville's hand is up. Did you have something?
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to speak in support of Mr. Brown's project. From the very beginning, when he approached council with this idea, he wanted to be able to help address the community's needs. That area is considered a food desert, so I just want to thank him for all that he does and trying to provide health and fresh food to the neighborhood. Mr. Brown, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. And I got to say this. The city had that property, which is about 7 acres adjacent to it, and more than once, I gave this more than generous hint that I could put about 25 greenhouses on there. But the council decision was to put housing in instead. So I lost my woods over there, but we're doing well, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Nancy Holland?
I'd like to join in thanking Mr. Brown. This is an operation that should be a model everywhere, particularly when we drill down into the details of water use and the production compared to what goes into the production. This is what sustainability is all about. When we grow locally and provide food for our local community, what we're doing is reducing the carbon footprint that is involved in providing food as well. This is a real win, and congratulations, Mr. Brown. It's my pleasure to support this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Further questions or comments from anyone? Okay, hearing none, we'll invite you back this evening if you'd like. You could even join us via Zoom if you'd like at 7 o'clock, after which we'll repeat the process. However, we'll make a recommendation. So thank you very much for coming down today. Appreciate it. We'll move on to the rest of the agenda, of which I'm going to recommend time Short of any questions or comments, we'll go into the new list. The first item, Clerk Biviano.
Item number 2, offered by Fusco. Ordinance authorizing a conditional use to establish an adult daycare at 222 Jewett Street and declaring an emergency.
Refer and advertise for a public hearing. Thank you. Next item.
Item number 3 is an ordinance authorizing the Director of Planning and Urban Development or his designee to sell approximately .09 acres of city-owned property located at 133 Lake Street and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Mr. Volman?
Yes, thank you, Chairman President. This is a property I don't...
Mr. Volman, I don't think your microphone's on.
There
Thank you.
we go, okay. This is a property, I don't know how we ended up with a 0.09 acre parcel, but we're selling it to the neighboring property owner. He's going to use it for a driveway, for assistance with putting in a driveway.
Very good. Was the ward council person, they're okay? I'm not sure which ward this is.
This is in Summit Lake.
Okay. Assume that we've contacted the ward person.
Okay.
Any questions or comments? Consent agenda okay for this one?
Absolutely.
Is there a second? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? The ayes have it. Very good. Next item is Sarah Viviano.
Item number 4 is an ordinance authorizing the acquisition of parcel number 6716110 located at 1276 and 1280 Copley Road from the Summit County Land Bank and declaring an emergency.
Yeah, so this is a vacant parcel on Copley and Orlando. We own the parcel next to it. It's an opportunity purchase of property on a very strategic corner in one of our Great Street areas.
Very good. Questions or comments? Consent agenda okay?
Absolutely.
Is there a motion?
Motion for consent.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor of consent agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Very good. The ayes have it.
Item number 5 is an ordinance approving the historic designation of 243 Furnace Street, former Federal Warehouse and Storage Building, as a historic landmark and declaring an emergency.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, committee members. Built in approximately 1920, the Federal Warehouse Storage Building is a 6-story concrete frame warehouse structure. It has a neoclassical influenced facade treatment, and the Furnace Street facade is vertical texture brick which has been painted. The other facades of the warehouse are concrete columns with infill brick and were coated with gunite in the 1980s. Most of the original window openings have been enclosed with concrete block. The Federal Warehouse and Storage Company building was constructed as a zero setback building from the neighboring Akron Soap Company building complex adjoining to the west and shares a portion of the west wall of the Federal Warehouse building. The adjoining Akron Soap Company building was designated a local historic landmark in 2013. The warehouse does not have a functional relationship to the original Akron Soap Company factory and was constructed at a time when the property was divided into separate parcels. The Federal Warehouse and Storage Company building and its site are representative of broad patterns of development of industry in Akron from the late 19th to early 20th century. The building adjoins other buildings built at different time periods, but all reflect Akron growth and development of industry and population. Early tenants were tire and rubber companies. If designated, any activity affecting the exterior of the Federal Warehouse and Storage Company building not covered under an agreement with the State of Ohio Historic Preservation Office will require a certificate of appropriateness from the Urban Design Commission. Any demolition of the existing structure or additions or additional entranceways will also require a certificate. The property meets criteria outlined in the City of Akron Urban Design and Historic Preservation Ordinance to define a landmark. The owners are also in the process of having the building listed on the National Register, and it is anticipated the building will be renovated for residential use utilizing historic tax credits. The Urban Design Commission, Planning Commission, and planning staff recommend approval. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Question, is the procedure, it goes to the state? We passed our local one, and then...
Right. The local
Because
ordinance...
we've already done one, you mentioned in 13, right?
What was that?
I thought we had already done one in 13. We've
Right,
already done
it's
that.
actually one parcel, but two adjoining buildings that share a wall. The west side of the building was local landmark in 2013.
Okay.
And by making it a local landmark, it speeds up the process to get historic tax credits as
Gotcha,
opposed to
okay.
the National Register.
Very good, very good. Gotcha, okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, very good. Is suspension of the rules okay? Because it sounds like there's somewhat of a sense of urgency on this.
Consent agenda is fine.
Or suspension of the rules?
Yeah, or suspension of the rules, that's great too.
Okay, it's always good to have options. Is there a motion for suspension of the rules?
Motion for suspension of the rules.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Thank you. Item 6.
Item number 6 is a resolution declaring the necessity and intent of the City of Akron to appropriate and acquire easement interests in real property located at 1318 Big Falls Avenue for the purposes of constructing, maintaining, repairing, enlarging, and reconstructing a sewer or sewers and/or water lines for drainage, sewerage, and other associated purposes in connection with the North Side Interceptor Tunnel Project and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Mr. Ludell, I'm guessing, is
I-
here for this, or
I
Mr.
can, if
Bowman,
it's-
or?
If there's any in-depth questions, I'll need to tag out, but this one and the next one are two resolutions to acquire easements under the ground to put in the North Side Interceptor Tunnel. It's the first step, in
First
acquiring.
step of many?
About 8, I think you said you thought, maybe?
Eight acquisitions?
Actually, there's 12 different property owners, so there'll be 12 pieces, but if you recall, on the OSID tunnel, we had about 88.
Yeah,
So this is minimal to what we went through before.
good,
So-
good, good, good. Questions or comments from anyone? This is a consent agenda, okay on this one?
Yes.
Very good. Is there a recommendation for consent agenda?
Motion for consent.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? The ayes have it. Number 7.
Item number 7 is a resolution declaring the necessity and intent of the City of Akron to appropriate and acquire easement interests in real property located at 1527 Riverside Drive for the purposes of constructing, maintaining, repairing, enlarging, and reconstructing a sewer or sewers and/or water lines for drainage, sewerage, and other associated purposes in connection with Northside Interceptor Tunnel Project and declaring an emergency.
This is the same, yep.
Same. Any questions or comments? Hearing none. Consent agenda, recommendation?
Motion for consent. Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Good, the ayes have it. Mr. Volman?
If you are, I think you're done with legislation. I have one other thing I'd like to bring up before the committee.
Yes,
I
sir.
don't know if everyone's had the pleasure of meeting Latanda Mobley, who has accepted the role as our Great Streets Coordinator, but she is here today. Oh, there she is. Okay, she walked behind me. So I wanted to introduce you to her, and, if you haven't met her yet, come say hi. She's going to be around a lot.
Absolutely will. I've already heard a lot of good things, so. Very good, very good. And everybody good? With that, we're adjourned. Thank you so much, and we'll hang around and say hi. Thanks.
Our next committee of the day will be the Public Service Committee, and that will begin at 2 o'clock. Those committee members are Mosley, Kamer, Holland, Lombardo, and McKittrick. Again, that's the Public Service Committee, and it will begin at 2 o'clock. Thank you.